everyone and welcome back to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm And More Bus Videos and otherwise known as And More Central, depending on what day of the week and what video you're watching. And welcome to a familiar location that is Strathshire Park and Ride. Now, there'll be a few of you that have instantly clicked the cogs together. For those of you that haven't, there is a particular reason why I have returned to this map to drive this specific repaint. Some of you will already know. As I say, if you don't, once we get started, I will introduce the repaint, tell you a bit more about it. But for now, we're going to get the bus set up for a round trip of the 69C service. I drove the 28 quite recently. There we go. I drove the 28 quite recently. The 25 is quite short. The 49, I have driven quite a lot in recent times. So the 69C, it was. Now we'll go up and then. Excellent. There we go. Excellent. There we go. For some reason, the Streetlight didn't actually have the HOF filing for Strathshire, but because the MMC, the 400 MMC is also a Studio Polygon product with the same blind, I've just copied and pasted the HOF across. And as you can see, it fits perfect. So a quick tip, if you do find that your Streetlight also doesn't have the Strathshire HOF filing and you want to try it on Strathshire, just transfer the HOF files. It just seems like a really easy way to do it. So we are running late. We should have set off a bit ago, but at least we can just whiz round the routes. That is a lot of warning lights on the dashboard. That is a lot of warning lights on the dashboard. There we go. That's not as many warning lights on the dashboard. We are getting progressively better. I want to open the doors up first. So yes, for context before we set off, this is the brand new McGill's repaint pack that has been released quite recently on Fellows Films. For some reason, I've got rid of the tab that it was on. But basically, the vehicle that we're driving in real life is 0448 SN64CJZ. That is the first Streetlight of the X sort of First Scotland East ones that McGill bought as part of buying First Scotland East with the operation. Is the first one of these to get repainted into the new Midland Bluebird livery that McGills are rolling out in the Scotland East network. Midland Bluebird was the name, I believe, in that local area prior, so they've sort of returned to an old trusted name for the vehicles themselves. So most of them are still in the original first urban livery with Midland on the side, devoid of any other fleet names, and just have the only thing that you can tell that they're not first anymore is the fact that the first stickers were taken off, and there is a 4-digit blue sticker number instead of a 5-digit familiar first number. So that's the only difference. It's that this used to be a 476, I believe, a 4745 or 6 within the First Scotland East fleet, and was one of the vehicles acquired by McGills upon takeover of the First Scotland East operation. They bought all sorts. They bought omnideckers, most of which have now been withdrawn and some of which have been sold. B70 old Geminis, quite a few of them still in service. The old 53 plates that were new to First South Yorkshire, that is pretty exciting. So hopefully a few of them do make it, end up doing additional service. So they've got quite a few of them that I believe transferred from Glasgow shortly before the sale to rush out some of the newer vehicles. They've got a small number of MMC Deckers, the 400 MMCs. They've got quite a lot of Streetlights, Eclipses. I think potentially the odd B9. But they purchased quite a lot of vehicles. It was a big operation with Scotland East. It didn't come at any surprise when first sold it, and McGill's been a rising independent operator in Scotland, having taken over Explore Dundee. That's kind of our link for this video, because Explore Dundee, when this map was first released, Strathshire, with the Explore Strathdon or Explore Strathshire as it is brand name, that brand name was totally related to Explore Dundee. At the time, it was owned by National Express when this map was first made, but now it's been out for bits. Since the map was released, it got taken over by McGill's group. So that's the link. Explore Strathshire technically got taken over by McGills, and so has First Scotland East. That's why we can sort of say, oh, well, they're trialling this bus. This bus is on loan for the 69C. So that was the idea behind it. I was initially going to drive it in the urban livery with Midland on the side, that I might do in a future video. But I thought for this one, I looked at the branding, did my research, and was like, oh yeah, there is actually some buses in that livery. So I thought it'd look a lot better. And I mean, it is a lovely, lovely livery, is this. And it is also a good time for a little bit of a discussion point. As you can see as well, the first interior is still intact, as you can see. Looking a bit worn like, but still intact. I don't know why those lights just missed us out. I'm not happy with that. Those lights never changed. Because I know I was looking around the bus, but I was constant looking at the lights. That light never changed. But anyway, while it decided to take ages at the lights, it is a good time to discuss this livery. I mean, I do like it. It's a very, very nice livery. And it's going to be very, very nice to see it rolled out on some of their second-hand double-deckers that they're acquiring to upgrade the network of buses, as well as the existing fleet like this. I believe there is also an Eclipse at the moment in this livery. I don't know if it's an X first one. I haven't actually spawned in the repaint that would tell me the answer. Or an X Dundee one, but there is an Eclipse now in this livery as well. And I do also know that a few Dundee vehicles did transfer over to Midland, I believe. Predominantly MMCs that I was aware of, but potentially the other Eclipses. I know some of the B7s went over as well. I don't know if they're all there, I don't know if they transferred them back or what, but there we go, that's better. So after that prolonged wait at the traffic lights, we are quite late. And we're doing the clockwise circular, so we get the hospital out of the way first. It's the way around I do prefer to do it. We can just absolutely floor it. Oh, come on, street light, stay with me, Stephen. Come on, game, stay with me. Gonna do that, see if it makes any difference. There we go. It's also very nice to get the excuse to drive the street light, because in game I really don't mind it. In fairness as well though, in real life, as long as it isn't all the time, I don't mind a ride on a street light. A street light that's interesting, because there are some, whether we like it or not, that are interesting now. There's some that are quite old, and then as a result of them being quite old, they sort of sound interesting, so they potentially have mechanical issues and sound good. We will use this opportunity to get a nice screenshot of the bus, I think, because the lighting looks pretty spot on and the livery looks nice. There we go. So if they're an old one, they are quite interesting. because some of the South Yorkshire ones have sounded rather tired. So just before quite a few of them went off lease, I did make the effort to try and sample a couple, not all of them, but if they were there and I had the option, over that or like a B9 I'd already been on, for example, it was the Streetlight 1 for a short period of time. And then on the other hand as well, the newer ones, I tend to find that the ride quality and things like that are okay in the new ones. The one thing I've also noticed with this bus is the people do not like the standard jerks that the bus makes. I mean, it was a relatively quick run round. However, it wasn't anything from the norm. Because if they go, then it theoretically means I should have a relatively clear run around here, and I'm not waiting ages at the lights when I come back. I do find this route ace just purely for how tight the timetable is. Oh, another one. Is everybody vacating? Okay. We've had a very good start to this. A very good start. It's just I don't like it when you sort of use the brakes on it. Like, they don't like it when you sort of have to use the brakes, and sometimes with a street light the brakes are a little bit harsher, or they don't kick in as they should, and they really do not like them. Do the passengers. That I've always found the problem with this. Like, I do have it's like I've been driving in London, and I've been driving like an absolute nutcase on some of my recent London videos, and I've not noticed a problem with passengers wanting to get off at all. Like, it's not been an issue. But you see, as soon as you take the streetlight out, it seems like they're on it for a couple of minutes, and if you drive in any shape or form quick, they don't like it. So I would put it down to that. It's a very, very busy 69C. That's not what we want if we want to try and catch up some time. I do prefer a slightly quieter run on this route. Although in fairness, if the street light continues the way it is, we might have that, because it will end up with an empty bus. There we go. Yeah, you see, a little slight jerk like that, like on any other bus, it would have had the brakes on in one clear thing, but because it jerks slightly, that's what puts the people off. And don't get me wrong, it's realistic for a street light, but it's not fair on the driver, whoever's driving the vehicle, like I am, where it's kind of like, hang on, your driving must be that bad to getting off, when in actual truth, it was the double jerk on the bus that the OMSI AI passengers aren't used to. So usually with the Eclipse, that wouldn't have been an issue. They wouldn't have got off, they'd have just remained. I mean, they might have had the odd complaint, but it'd have been fine. But with this, they're not not as enthusiastic, so to speak. Although I have forgotten how fast this bus goes, this is quite nice. At least it allows us to catch up a little bit of time. Potentially end up with more people getting off if it keeps bumping to a stop like it did then. So there we go, past community college. No one on my bus wants to get an education today. I do also love the interior on this. Whoever's made it, the link is in the description below. I was hoping to show you, but the Internet Explorer was playing up a little bit. But the creator of this, I love the interior seating that they've used. They've actually used their own like e-leather seated interior model rather than the bog standard seating that you get on every single one and just copying and pasting it. I think it's cool because it obviously shows off a couple more like ruffles and bumps and things in the seating, showing it's not perfect, and it also shows a little bit of wear and muck and things, as you can see, that is quite accurate for vehicles that get purchased by other operators or are in the first fleet for a while, like these are. These were 9 years, and most likely in 9 years, apart from seats that have been torched or cut or anything like that, these won't have been messed with, so they will look like the shiny light grey leather seating will have turned quite a dark dull grey and will look a bit grimy, if I'm honest. So it is realistic on that front. That I really do appreciate with this. Just that little finite detail with the repaint, be it intentional or not, but it is a nice finite detail. We've actually caught up a fair one of our time. That's not something I usually do on this route. It's usually a little more difficult than that. Although in fairness, I do usually lug absolutely huge vehicles on this route and then wonder why I'm late. So it possibly could be that. It's a little bit nippier, so probably haven't noticed the speed as much. You see, stopping to go around the turn like that, and people want to get off. You cannot win with this, unfortunately. Well, one bus I was on quite recently that really took me by surprise was actually required eclipse in Bradford. I've sort of going through the stage at the moment with areas that I've sampled a lot of buses at, but I visit rather regularly. I've sort of gone through my video archives on this channel and seen what vehicles I haven't been on, and I'm trying to make an endeavour, if the opportunity provides, to sample these vehicles on this list to all add a bit of variety onto the channel, so that I'm catering for more specific vehicles and basically saying, oh, I've gone on this entire fleet, that kind of thing, but also to just spruce it up a little bit for me and give me some sort of like goal to achieve with vehicles to find and stuff like that, and keep places that I've sampled pretty much 99% of the bus fleet, keep them interesting, keep them fresh in some extent. And one of the buses I went on was an Eclipse 2. It was a 695, and the 695s at Bradford were new in 2013, as were the other ones that were split for Huddersfield, as were the other ones that were split for Halifax. Now, the Halifax, Huddersfield, and all of the other Bradford ones except this have e-leather seating in. And out of all of them, I would argue that Bradford's e-leather seating has definitely had the worst wear in it, worst wear and tear. It looks in the worst state, and Bradford have this tendency of not replacing seats or upholstering them. Halifax and Huddersfield, especially Huddersfield recently, have been absolutely on the ball with reupholstering the seats on the Eclipse 2s that they have to make them still look presentable inside. Thing is following suit as well. Halifax is following suit with a few. I believe their progress on it is a little bit slower. More people want it to get off. But Bradford's never done it until now. I think they've had the odd one where they have done a little bit of retrimming, so they have upgraded some of the seats, and they have done it a little bit, but never properly done it to the fleet of vehicles. I'm quite certain that there was one that was off the road for a fair bit with an RTC, and they redid it on that one. I think that might be 69574 that they redid the seats on, because I remember going on that thinking, oh, these look a bit different and they look a bit new. But 70, for some reason, and somebody might know in the comments. If you do, let me know. For some reason, it has its E-leather headrests, E-leather back seats, E-leather front seats, but the wheelchair rest, and all of the main seat backends and seat bottoms are now in the old fuchsia maquette. So the old, what most people will recognise as the first Barbie bus maquette. So the maquette that was predominantly on vehicles at the time of the first Barbie livery. So we're not talking the newer Eclipses or the maquette that featured on most common B9s. We're talking the maquette that predominantly featured on the old Euro 3 Eclipses when new, featured on the B10 BLEs, B7Ls. We're talking that maquette. And for some reason, this Eclipse, and it took me totally by surprise, I thought it was really cool, but took me by surprise, has been entirely reupholstered with this maquette inside. Bar the headrest, bar the pull-down seats, bar the back seats, and bar the front seats. The whole thing. Like, the whole main part of the vehicle has had this upholstering work done. And I mean, it's using your initiative. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting, and it's using your initiative. Now, I understand why they've done it, because that maquette, that being a physical fabric rather than E-leather seating, is a little bit, it's not impossible, but a little bit more difficult to wreck. So it's a little bit more difficult and appealing to wreck. It looks fresh for longer, so it does have that fresh-looking, smart effect for a bit longer than E-leather seating does. And for me, I think it's amazing because it keeps that maquette alive. I mean, first Bradford have most likely done it because I think at the moment, top of my head, I'm quite certain that there's only 4 vehicles in the entire fleet that now have that maquette in use. There's only 4 of them that are on it. Be 5, sorry, it'd be 5, 69270, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And to the best of my knowledge, they're the only ones with the older, what you would call first Barbie, blue, pink, green kind of maquette. They're the only ones. So I understand this. They've got a roll of this maquette, and they've probably got quite a few of it sitting about. All these Eclipse 2s that are approaching midlife, whether we like it or not, they are pretty much in midlife, if not a year or so off, depending on how you count it. That is really strange to say, but the fact that they are midlife, I mean, they've got the roll available. It makes them look smart. It makes them look fresh and presentable, and I think pretty cool. You might as well use the roll to update the seating as and when you need. So I thought it was a really, really good initiative. And hats off to First Bradford for it. I mean, my goodness me, it took me by surprise. But I thought it was really cool. Really, really cool. So I'll be looking out for 69570 in the future, I think. Well, that section of route was pointless. Should have just gone straight on instead of going through the parked cars, and we'd have ended up through these traffic lights. It'd be too easy, wouldn't it? So what I'll probably be doing is in between all the other stuff and videos I've got planned and bits and bobs, I will possibly also be showing off some of the repaints in this repaint pack. because it is one of the ones that's recently released on Fellas Film forums. I don't tend to look at the forums that much, because sometimes you go through quite long periods where there's not much out and it becomes a little bit miserable. However, if I look ever so often, it means that there's always something different on there. And there's quite a few different repaints that have just been released. This is obviously one of them, the McGill's repaint pack for Scotland East, and I believe Scotland West as well. So it also includes the Glasgow operation, I believe. But I haven't had a proper look through the repaint pack. I've sort of just seen this livery and thought, oh, we'll give it a go. Because I knew this street light would fit round the route quite easily, and it wouldn't be too much of a difficult endeavour. So I thought this would work, but I'm going to have a proper look through the listings for the repaint pack and see what other liveries I do fancy driving, see what's going to work quite well on the routes on this map as well, and what I can talk about and bits like that. So yeah, this will be one of the repaint packs. There's a couple of others that have released as well that I do have my eye on, and I'm interested in, and they're all going to be in between the Harrogate repaint pack, a few other longer distance routes that I want to drive, and other stuff like that. So there's a fair bit planned. So yeah, it's worth sticking about for. I just offload the physical. I'll offload them up here because I don't offload them there because all the people that they'll jump on the bus. It's not what I want. I mean, that was a taxi to the curb job, unfortunately. But yeah, we arrived in fairness, a minute early, pretty much. Oh, come on, steering! Don't just freeze on me. There we go. That's not something that happens in real life, where yeah, basically in essence it's like your hand freezes, one of your hands freezes, and it's like, huh? That's what the equivalent is. Doesn't tend to happen that often in real life, thankfully. Didn't really want to do that, but this has brought me to closer to the curb. And changing gears in this is absolutely amazing. That was one of the smoothest gear changes jobs I've ever done. I've broken the engine. There we go, that's a bit better. The engine was broken for a brief second there. But anyway, that was a lovely round trip on the 69C. A lovely route. As I say, do the blind hack if you want to use the Strathshire proper blind setup on this. Because it really does look effective, and I mean it works on the 400 MMC and works on the streetlights. You can remember that for when you're transferring HOF files around as well. So yeah, a lovely repaint from the tremendous McGill's repaint pack, and that I do recommend downloading, although I don't have any details to talk about at the moment because of the Internet Explorer problem. But basically, I deleted the tab without realising before I started watching the video, and then it didn't want me to reopen it again on the forums, so I don't quite know what was going on. But basically, I will link the description, I will link the repaint in the description below, and you can go and check it out, have a read through all the different repaints available. Credit to the individual that's made them, because as I say, this does look pretty tremendous. I do really like it. And it shows off what's happening in that area, that what OMSI is about. I mean, we can have a little drive of a bus from anywhere around the country, and the more repaints we have, the more opportunities we have to achieve that. But for now, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the Bus Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the simulation section, as well as an archive of over 5,000 backseat and engine-focused public transport videos from the UK and beyond. With buses, trams, trains and more, there's something on there for everyone, with additional 21 videos added per week. There's all sorts in the archives, and if you do like your streetlights, as I was saying, if you look in the first South Yorkshire archive mainly, although the first West Yorkshire one does have some as well, there are some pretty decent streetlight videos in there. Once again though, I would like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video I make. Goodbye for now. Bye.